We'll go on to our next discussion of Prop 56.
I'll open with some general context and then describe two issues that relate to the UC. Last November, the voters passed Proposition 56, which increases the excise tax rate on cigarettes and tobacco products effective April 1st of this year. The excise tax increases by $2 per pack of 20 cigarettes, with an equivalent excise tax on cigars, e-cigarettes, and other tobacco products. Revenue from this initiative first backfills Proposition 99, Proposition 10, the Breast Cancer Fund, and state and local governments to address revenue declines that result from this additional tax. After this backfill occurs, fixed allocations are taken out for graduate medical education, state dental program, and enforcement across multiple departments. Of the remaining revenue, 82% is provided to the Department of Healthcare Services to fund Medi-Cal program growth in healthcare programs and services. 13% is provided for tobacco control and prevention programs administered by Department of Public Health and California Department of Education. The remaining 5% is provided to the University of California for medical research into cancer and heart and lung-related tobacco diseases. I'll now talk about the two UC-related proposals. First, the governor's budget reflects $80.7 million to support the cigarette and tobacco products research program. This program funds cancer research as well as studies of heart and lung diseases related to tobacco consumption. Second, the governor's budget also reflects $50 million for graduate medical education at the University of California. These funds will support residents developing their skills in family medicine, internal medicine, obstetrics and gynecology, pediatrics, and emergency medicine. Consistent with the language of the initiative, these funds must be used to sustain, retain, and expand these programs. Mr. Agenda notes, the budget makes a related adjustment in general fund appropriations to the UC, instead using Proposition 56 funds to maintain these programs. UC does not account specifically for the cost of enrolling medical residents. To understand whether the shift would have fiscal impacts, we use logic UC has used in other contexts. UC reports that it enrolled more than 5,400 eligible residents. In the past, UC has estimated that the marginal cost of enrolling an additional student is $10,000. Therefore, finance believes that UC can manage the proposed shift without an impact on its programs or the university as a whole, because it is reasonable to assume that the amount of discretionary resources the university is using on these programs exceeds the amount being shifted. Thank you.
So, again, as finance noted, there are two issues here that relate to UC. One is the graduate medical education provision in Proposition 56. One is the tobacco-related disease research. The tobacco-related disease research, finance is implementing that in the way the statute indicates. They're implementing both the way the statute indicates, but in the case of graduate medical education, they are proposing to use that funding amount to free up a like amount of general fund they believe is spent on UC's, on medical residents, and to shift that into UC's general core budget, and effectively giving them a base increase of an additional $50 million. We did review that proposal, and we broadly reviewed the Department of Finance's proposals regarding Proposition 56. But in the case of the graduate medical education for UC, we noted that what Finance is proposing is probably legally allowable. There is no provision in this section of Proposition 56 that prohibits or expressly prohibits supplanting general fund. But we also noted that it likely doesn't meet the spirit of what the law was trying to get at, which was to expand residency slots across the state and address shortages of primary care physicians and specialty physicians in certain areas.
And I think that's the heart of the matter. Is this going to increase the number of GMEs?
Right,
or is it just swapping out dollars?
My understanding, based on what Finance is proposing and what UC has indicated they will do, and they can speak better to that, but my understanding is it will largely hold flat the number of residency slots.
Which is not what it was intended. So if you could cover that.
So that is correct characterization of the university's position, is that if these funds were to come in the current form to us, the $50 million in budget year and then $40 million in funds in future years, that we would use that funding for the sustaining and retaining of current positions as opposed to the expansion.
Finance have a comment on that?
I think we would say, continue to say we think it meets the, the requirements of the statute and building the budget. We, faced a lot of just different needs, and this was an area where we thought we could make this change in a way that met the requirements of the law, but also had limited impact on UC's operations.
Right, I would tend to agree, though, it's going to have limited impact of expanding the number of GMEs, which was the goal, so I do have concerns about that. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I think the word scruples comes to mind. I think you found something maybe in the initiative that says you can do this, and that doesn't make it right. And so I think there are a lot of doctors that would like to get some reinforcements in their industry, get some more graduates to help out because we have a medical crisis. We're crying about it today on the floor of the Senate. And I think, I don't know, I don't know. It's one of these things where I kind of sit and say, well, maybe you can do it, but how do you sleep at night is sort of what I'm thinking. So I call it bait and switch. And so I'm sorry if I'm being so direct. It's just like unbelievable. These guys run a ballot measure. I didn't agree with the ballot measure. I'm just, I'm not a
Right,
tax
see,
guy.
then you don't get to criticize it.
But I'm sitting here going, now that it's here, to pull, I call it a stunt. It's just like a, so you're very polite, Mr. Chair, and I'm just kind of saying, wow. And maybe I've been a victim of this nonsense before with SB 89 back in 2011, just because you can do it. But it doesn't make it right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, is that it?
That's it, I'll shut up.
Okay, good.